My therapist basically told me it's over. At our 5th session together, he told me that being completely alone for more than 2 years is very bad for your mental health. No surprises there. But went on to say that getting to 22, 23 years old and still being a virgin despite deeply desiring a partner will put anyone at a disadvantage in their mid to late 20s. And if you fail in your late 20s, that the damage is essentially permanent. I'm turning 32 this year, a kissless, touchless virgin. After talking about everything I've tried over the last decade to escape this hell, he says that I've done everything I could have, which was nice to hear for once, and that I was understandably battle-weary. He said, I can help you with one of two things. I can help you get back out there and keep trying, or I can help you live a life of celibacy. It's up to you. Is this therapy? Is this really worth $400 a session? What a joke. Now, most normal people would agree with the poster's frustration with this kind of advice. We're very used to people providing us with words of encouragement when they share their hardships. If your friend continuously fails to make the basketball team year after year, most people would tell them things along the lines of, don't give up, just keep trying and working hard, your time will eventually come. Meanwhile, very few people will tell him, well, you're at a significant disadvantage being 5'4", perhaps you should pursue other endeavors. Now, if this is your friend's passion and dream, he'd be crushed by such a statement, and consequently, he'd likely avoid seeking future advice from you, despite your advice being objectively better for his future and quality of life. Now, if your friend wouldn't seek this advice for free, do you really think that he would pay for it? Probably not. Now, I'm sure you've done the same thing before. You've told people things that they wanted to hear while at the same time making you look good. It's a win-win for both parties in the short term. But long term, perhaps your advice is actually doing your friend more harm than good. Perhaps your words of encouragement is going to be what prevents your friend from quitting basketball, where had he quit in another universe, he could have started a very successful business with his free time. Now, of course, your friend has no way of seeing this other universe, though, and he actually appreciates your advice nonetheless. Regardless of whatever pain he endures or all the opportunities that he misses as a consequence of your advice, he's actually going to continue coming to you for advice. In fact, he likes your advice so much that he'd probably be willing to pay you for it. You see, people want to be told what they want to hear. This is human nature. And your friend is not the only one who wants advice like this. And since these other people aren't your friends, you could probably charge them money for it. It sounds like you just stumbled across a business opportunity. You tell people what they want to hear, regardless of the consequences, and charge absurd fees, and they'll still continue to come back. And it seems they can't consistently find this same kind of advice elsewhere, from their friends or family. Oh no, every once in a while, those friends and family members will slip up and say something that they don't like. So instead, they rather come to you, because you master the craft of telling people what they want to hear. Congratulations, you've now become a successful business owner. And your competitive advantage allows you to charge exorbitant amounts compared to those who give out advice for free. In the example that we reviewed, the client was unhappy with the advice that he was provided. The therapist told him the truth and even gave him two options. Consequently, he might have just lost the client. Meanwhile, another therapist out there might have just gained a very long-term client because that therapist is going to tell the client precisely what he wants to hear. You see, therapy is a business, and the overwhelming majority of them are financially incentivized, aside from scarce outliers like the example we showed. Now, I want to be clear. I actually do think that therapy can be beneficial depending on the case, but rarely ever when it's paid for, aside from very few outlier cases like the example we showed. I think the best options are those with absolutely zero incentive to please you. That means those who aren't being paid by you, someone who isn't trying to earn your trust or retain some kind of relationship. In many cases, these could be childhood friends or family members, but even in some cases, they won't be willing to provide you with the truth. Ironically, sometimes people who don't even know you at all, or not even speaking to you face to face like on the internet, might provide you with some of the best advice. But then in those cases, you might be trolled. So there isn't really a one-fit-all solution to all of this. But what I know for certain is that the worst options are these professionals who are being paid by you. Because they're certainly professionals in business, that is. Before we conclude, perhaps you might be wondering what I would have suggested to the individual who made the Reddit post. In comparison to the basketball situation, dating and potentially having a family is a far more complex situation, considering that can't necessarily be interchanged in the same way that a career choice like basketball versus business can. For this reason, I really do believe that it does depend on the case, or the individual, I should say. I actually made a full video dedicated to this very complex topic, titled, Why You Should Take the Black Pill or Shouldn't. I'll leave a link for it at the end of the video if you're interested in checking that out. Also, feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this topic or other contrarian ones, thought-provoking topics, etc. Other than that, though, have a nice rest of your day.